Today, we're going to remove Dodge from the Hellcat. I don't mean taking the brand out. I mean we're going to take the letters Dodge off the back of the car. 'Cause I got some plans for it. So, here's some of the stuff we've got. What I think we're going to need to do it. I've looked at other videos. Everybody has their opinions. There's always one way of doing it. But there's several ways of doing it. But this is what I've come up with. So today, here's what we're going to be using. We're going to use some fish line. You may not be able to see it. I think it's like a 10-pound test. Don't really think it matters. You can also use dental floss. We're going to need a heat gun so we can go ahead and heat those letters up, make it a little bit easier, loosen that tape up on the back, make it easier to go ahead and get the letters off. And then once we get the letters off, in case I need it, got some Goo Gone. Go ahead and remove some of the tape material. If there's not a lot of tape residue or tape material left, then I'll probably just go ahead and use a magic eraser, go ahead and get it wet. Got an alcohol solution. Go ahead and, once I get everything off, go ahead and get it cleaned up a little bit. Then depending on the shape of things, if I need to, I'll go ahead and I'll use some swirl remover, and I'll use a white buffing pad. That's to go ahead and remove some, like the heavier debris materials, and we'll see how it turns out. Again, I'm doing this because I'm going to be putting something in place of those Dodge letters. Not that I don't like the Dodge letters. They're perfectly fine. I like them, but what I'm about to do I like better, and that'll be in the next video. So with that being said, let's get things set up and get to work. Alright, first thing we want to do is we want to remove each one of these letters. And these letters are held on with a very sticky tape. So I think you could go in without using any heat. And you could probably just go ahead and use a fish line or a dental floss and get behind there. But just heating the tape up seems to make things a little bit easier. So let's try it and see what happens. Okay, now we're going to take the fish line. We'll just slowly work it in the back and just slowly go up and down and just feed it back. Boom. That was easy enough. Got a little bit of tape residue here. While it's still warm, go ahead and just use your finger and just lightly peel it back. So that was painless. Let's go ahead and try the next one, see what happens. As I'm doing this, what I'm doing is I'm slightly pulling the fishing string towards me. I've seen a lot of people go push it, like keep it a little bit closer to the surface to try to get more of the tape residue removed, which I guess it works, but I'm a little bit anal. Don't want to really mar up this surface. I don't want to scratch it a lot. Because again, one day I'll probably put everything back to stock. What I did before, and I probably should have showed you guys, I wish I would have showed you, is I went ahead and measured everything out. I took measurements from where the letters are on each side, and then the measurement between each letter, and then the measurement up and down. I wrote all that down. I'll save these letters. I'm not going to throw them away. They'd be easy to pick up somewhere, I'm sure. But I'll save these letters because you never know. Maybe one day everything goes back to stock. So what I'm going to do now, since I don't want to bore you, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these removed off. We're taking off. Then I'll go ahead and get the surface cleaned up. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but right in here you can see the imprint of each letter. That's mostly from the tape and then dirt collecting and everything else, and it'll leave a print there. Well, for what I have planned, I need this surface perfectly clean and smooth, so when I put things on there, when I put the stuff on there, it'll adhere and stay in place exactly the way I want it. As you can see, I've got each letter removed. Again, just put the heat gun on each letter. I kept mine probably 3-4 inches away from each letter. I didn't hold it there. You don't want to apply direct heat, because remember, you are dealing with plastic on plastic. You don't want to melt anything. So used heat on the DODG. When I got to E, I just wanted to try it without heat. Took the fishing line, and guys, remember, when you're using the fish line, you want to keep feeding it up. You don't want to keep using the same piece, because you're going to have tape material on there, you know, the residue from the tape, and if you keep using the same part of the fishing line, the residue will start to build up on it, and it starts gunking up and makes it harder to move. So each time I would just feed a new piece of fishing string in. I'd go across the back of each letter, slightly just pulling up towards me. When I got to E, what I did is I went ahead and didn't use any heat, just new piece of fishing line. And it was a little bit more difficult, but it came off just as easy, and the residue is easy to go ahead and just peel up with my finger. So now that I've got that done, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take a little bit of detail spray. I'm just using some Adams detail spray. Go ahead and get this area cleaned up a little bit. See what I'm dealing with as far as residue. Again, at this point, nothing has to be perfect. I always keep my car fairly clean anyway. It's a little bit dirty today. And then once I get it cleaned up, you'll see where I have some light scratches up in here, and I still have this residue. So there's really no reason to use, I don't think, the Gooby Gone, because I don't have any of the sticky tape stuff. It's just the outlines of the letters, and where dirt and debris have built up. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the magic eraser here and get it a little bit wet, and just slightly rub across each area. Make it a little bit easier, keep things nice and lubricated, since we don't want to scratch anything else up if we don't have to. Again, I don't know what this is going to really do. First time I've done this. I removed letters on other vehicles before, but I didn't have plans to put anything over it once I was done. So I've got to get this surface as close to perfect as I can get it. And since we don't want to scratch things up, I keep this nice and lubricated, this magic eraser. I have the surface nice and clean, so we'll see what happens. Went ahead and used the magic eraser, and I'm not really worried about the surface having to be perfect or, you know, completely flat or glossy, because again, I'm putting a cover over this whole thing. And but what I did notice, the magic eraser, I figured it was going to happen, but since this is kind of an experiment for me, because at some point I'm actually thinking of changing this whole part out back here, I'm not too worried. But magic eraser, no matter how lubricated I had it, it did cause some marring, real light scuffing on this surface, which again, you got to remember, this is like a PVC plastic, PCV, whatever it is, so it's easy to scratch up, so you just got to be careful. You know, if you had intentions of just removing the letters and you wanted the surface to stay perfect, I would suggest not using the magic eraser, not using anything extremely abrasive, just try to get the letters out. So we'll go ahead next and we'll try to hit it with some rubbing compound, or not real rubbing compound. I'm going to be using the Meguiar's Professional Swirl Remover 2.0. It's not extremely abrasive. Again, everybody's going to have their ideas on this. I could be doing it wrong, don't know. You're on this journey with me for the first time. We'll see how it works out. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and take the buffer, get it set up, see what kind of results we get here. So using the Porter cable here, again I've got a white pad. Might be just a little bit too abrasive for this. I don't think so, but we'll go ahead and see. Again, some of you guys might be watching this video and just cringing on the inside going, don't do it, but we'll see here. I'm just going to hit a real small area. First thing I do is I take my pad and make sure I get it lubricated. I'm just using some Chemical Guys polishing conditioner here. Shake it up. Pad doesn't have to be soaked, just has to be slightly wet. Again, you're just trying to get a little bit of lubricant in there. I take the Meguiar's. Gotta rub it on the pad a little bit. And then I'm going to keep the pad. I'm going to keep it set on 1. And then this is just an experiment. Gonna go ahead and slightly work it up and down, side to side, just like if you're buffing your car out. I would suggest not applying a lot of pressure the first time around. Kind of let the chemical do the work for you. And again, each time I make a pass, I'm just expanding out just a little bit more. And generally, when you're using any kind of compound where you're trying to buff a swirl or scratches out or something like that, you want to go to the compound starts to haze a little bit. You can see I got this a little bit wet because again I'm working on a real delicate surface and I don't exactly know what my results are going to be, so I'm just touching the areas that I know I'm going to be covering in case things turn out very badly. Usually I keep going, but I just realized something that I kind of knew from the get-go, but I wanted to keep going just to see what happened. I do believe the rubbing compound, or the swirl remover, I've had it setting for a while, and I do believe there's a chance that it's liquefied too much and the abrasive qualities in there have kind of diminished. But actually I'm pretty happy with these results right now because the slight marring I had, the scuffing from using the pad or from using the magic eraser is all gone. So what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to switch out to a different compound and go over it one more time. The reason I didn't tape anything off, a lot of people tape things off when they're working on plastic like this because one, my car is always clean and I'm getting ready to detail it again myself. So I already know then I'm going to sit there. I'm going to be sitting here and redoing all this and putting a new sealant on it and everything else. So at this point, I'm not exactly worried about that. If I get some, you know, spatter here, that's not going to be a problem for me to get cleaned up. So let me go ahead and get a new swirl remover, and we'll, again, I'm pretty happy with these results. I could leave it as is and I'd be happy, but I've still got just a couple slight marks that were already in here before I did any of this, and I just want to see how close I can get those, or how much of that I can get removed. Again, this surface is going to be covered, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but when I do the install of what I'm going to be putting on here, and I'll do a video of that, I'll show you guys, this area is going to have to be perfectly clean. But right now I've already accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. The letters are off, all the residue and debris is gone, so when I lay this it's kind of like a wrap down. It won't push through and show any, you know, impressions or anything. So let me go ahead and get this compound switched out. I'm going to be using the same thing, just a different bottle, one that had a different container of all this, where I keep my supplies. And this isn't liquefied. Again, I knew better, but for what I'm trying to accomplish, I just wanted to experiment. A lot of people are going to be concerned, you know, if you're doing this, make sure you're taking the time. If you're always going to keep this piece, you're never going to switch it out. Make sure you take your time, because this stuff is real easy to just mess up. So, you know, if that's the case, when you're working on something like this, make sure your materials are in order, make sure everything's clean, make sure everything is actually usable and a good stuff and a good material to use. Again, I knew the last one was a little bit, I knew it wasn't going to be that great. It was already liquefied, so shouldn't have used it, but I did. Still got the results I was looking for. But you know, just word for you guys that may not have done this before, or you're thinking of doing something like this, just make sure all the stuff you use is good quality and it's not expired or liquefied or anything like that. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and prep my pad. I'm going to go ahead and press down on it, just clean it up a little bit, make sure there's nothing on there. Go ahead, prep it again. Make sure whatever you're using is well mixed. And we're just going to put a few little dabs. That's what it should look like. So, again, my hands are clean. I've only been using this material here. Got something stuck in the pad there. Make sure it's out. Again, we're working on a real small surface here, so there's not a reason to be using a lot of material. So, okay, again, my settings are on 1. I'm just applying light pressure. I'm going to let the material do the work. And the same thing. Okay, so you see where once the material starts to haze a little bit, that's usually when I, especially using it on a material like this plastic that scratches very easily. I will go ahead and stop. Make sure your microfiber towel is nice and clean. And then I always try to wipe in one direction. Switch the pad over. Get another microfiber. Make sure it's nice and clean. Go ahead and put some detail spray on there. Just helps me remove some of the residue. So that's pretty much exactly what I wanted, guys. It's the results I wanted. Some of the scratches that were here before I started. Again, you got to remember, this isn't a paint. This is a material you're working on. This isn't a paint with a clear coat where there's certain, layers of clear coat that you can lightly sand through and all that stuff, and then go ahead and buff it out. This is plastic, so there's only so much you can do. But anyway, I've got the results I've wanted. It's nice and clear. So that does it. Now what I'll do is finish cleaning up, making sure there's no more splatter. You don't want that stuff to dry. It can be a real pain in the butt to get off. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you watching. Leave your comments below. Some of you are gonna, like I said, some of you are probably crawling out of your skin watching me work. I don't know. I've been detailing, working on my own cars for a couple years, and never had any bad results. Kind of learn as I go. So yeah, that's it. Next video, I'll show you what I'm putting on here. There's already 100 videos out there on YouTube of people doing the same thing, but I'm just getting started up and wanted to show you the process that I went through and the tools I used. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you watching. If you like the video, you want to come back for more, I'll be here. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.